Hi, I'm Lisa Barrett, and welcome to The Greater Truth of a Woman. This is episode 20, and today I'm joined by the lovely Bindar, the artist. I am very grateful to have her here. We met synchronicity, so we did. But Bindar is a very talented, multi-talented woman, who is definitely not a woman that likes kept in the box, a bit like myself. Does many different things, but she is a wonderful artist. Thank you so much for coming on, Bindar.
Oh, Lisa, thank you for inviting me. And I do think that our meeting was pretty divine. I was quite giddy when I met you, just in the sense of how we met. And we met online, actually, on Instagram when you were doing a live with my friend Steph.
I know.
And we were promoting your event at the Rabbit, and I just happened to go on just to I literally went on to show up for Steph and just to have the numbers up on her live.
Yeah.
And then, yes, obviously I was interested in the content because it's all about transformation and personal development, which is really a big focus for me and has been for a number of years. So whenever the competition came on to comment underneath with a chance to win, I was just feeling lucky and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I put it down, and then Steph contacted me and said, you want the ticket to the event at the Rabbit? And it was an amazing day. And again, I met so many wonderful ladies and had wonderful giggles, and we talked about synchronicities even there. So I just think, you know, life's been very magical in the past six months, and has unfolded, and, you know, people have been aligned in my path to bring me closer to the person that I really want to be. So thank you.
Oh, same. I feel like that too. I had quite a dark period in the start of the year, and it's really sort of changed, and it's as if everything's speeding up, especially this journey as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you feeling that too?
Absolutely. And I think it's speeded up by the people that I'm meeting.
Yes.
And, you know, but it's the fact that, you know, we're showing up for other people without expectation, you know, going to networking events and being there to help people. And you do it without result. You do it without actually wanting anything back. You do it for the absolute innate reason of just going out to show up for people. Because I feel like I have been hidden and just working on myself for the past few years. But showing up for other people, my God just has a way of like giving you tenfold back.
That's it's really fun because Steph is obviously, you know what I mean. I know Steph's been on here as well.
Oh, amazing! Hi, Steph.
Yeah, and I'm sure she'll watch. Yeah, she's such a wonderful soul.
She is. She's very well connected, and I think again, Steph's been wonderful, a real cheerleader in my journey. And you know that
she's just a cheerleader for humanity.
She really is, and it's really unusual and unexpected, the people that actually do come up and, you know, promote you and share your stories. And, you know, I have been a bit more vocal on Instagram and Facebook than I have in the previous years, which was justifiable, and I needed that quiet time. But I just think, you know, time to move forward and show up in how you can make a difference and how you can tell your story to add value to other people.
Definitely. So we're going to dive into a bit more about who you are, Bindar. So what I know of you was you came from a corporate background, and that really shocked me because you have this incredible light, this incredible aura, this incredible expression. You really do. And yeah, so how does a woman with such creativity come from like a corporate background?
Well, we'll start off with where I was born. So I am Indian by origin. I grew up, and I was born in Bradford in Yorkshire in England. Grew up in a very Indian household. They say it takes a village to raise children. And I truly was raised by a village, in the sense that I was very lucky to have my paternal grandparents in the same city, my dad's brothers and sisters, and all their children. My cousins were like our best friends. So we grew up together. My uncles would drop us off at school, pick us up. And and you know, my parents were working class. They were the first generation in England in the 70s. My granddad came over with literally a suitcase, and, you know, came over to make a life here.
Wow.
And then my grandma brought my dad and his siblings over with very little to make a life here. So I feel very fortunate that the opportunities that we've got have been presented to us because the struggles that they had already faced.
Yeah.
I see families coming over now and they're facing the first generation struggles and challenges to give their children a better life. So education was always very, very important to my parents so that we weren't working class, that we could hold our heads high, shoulder to shoulder with our English white counterparts, and obviously financially be stable. So education was hugely important that my dad actually sent me to a private school in England, not my brother's. He sent me to a private school, and because he was working class but paying for my education, that to me was a huge I won't say burden, but responsibility that I had to do well and make it count.
Yeah.
So I did. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to go to do my GCSEs at 16, and then I did my A-levels I did my GCSEs at 15 and did my A-levels at 16. So
wow.
I got into university at 16.
Wow.
Which was like incredible. But being from a very strict Indian family, my parents didn't want me to go away to study. So I had to apply locally to Bradford University. Now, luckily, I didn't really know what to do. I was never science-based. So I did apply to do business and management studies at Bradford University, which was actually the fourth best university in England at the time. So it wasn't a bad thing that I went locally, but it was more that my parents did not want me to go away and be socialised into the Western world. To which then I went to university, I got my place, I did business and management studies, and I really remember feeling that I'm not getting the university experience when I was at uni. So that first year was literally going to university, coming home. You know, we had to do group work. We didn't have mobile phones in that at that time, and you know, we were in group work with boys and girls, but woe betide any boy call my house because it was so strict, wasn't allowed boyfriends, wasn't allowed to go out clubbing or anything. So I did feel, not that that's the essence of life, but that's a big part of character building.
Yeah.
So very rebelliously at the time, I said to my dad that at the end of the first year, there was an opportunity to go abroad to study. So I said to my dad, I was like, Dad, I've got an opportunity to go to Canada to study, but I might not get it. I might not get a place, but let me try. So he's like, yeah, whatever. He didn't think I was going to do it. Well, I did it. And I was 17 at the time, and I remember being very scared. But I put my name down, and 3 weeks later, I had to finalise the decision. And I said, Dad, my forms have come through and I've got a place. I knew I'd always get a place, but I had to hype it up that, you know, I've got a place and it's a big deal. And my dad he's like, what do you mean you got a place? I was like, you said I could go. He's like, no, I didn't. So I was like, kind of like bombarded him that I'm doing this. I needed £3,000 at the time, and this was 1995.
That's a lot of money back then.
That's a long time ago as well. £3,000 I needed for one semester. I had £1,000 saved up. I remember my granddad gave me £1,000, and I worked over the summer for £1,000. And at the end of that summer, I'd booked my tickets, and I had to do it all by myself because my dad wasn't going to help me to go abroad. But I think he was quite surprised that I did. And then slowly it kind of bedded in that, okay, she's actually going to do it. It's the best decision of my life. It was amazing. And I really got a bug for travelling back when I went away at 17. I was very scared. So I've always been just a bit of a, I guess, hippie, an adventurer, you know, wanting to explore the world and build myself as a character. So yeah, I went away to study, came back, finished my degree, had a year in placement, and then after my 4-year degree, I was 2 years ahead of what I wanted, where I was with my counterparts. So I was like, I'm going back to Canada to study and work. So I went to travel, and I got a job with Oracle, which is a database company, in sales and reception work. Again, amazing. But my friends were still there from the university days.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I met distant family that became my very close family, and I'm hugely grateful for them. So yeah, I just explored and travelled a lot before I finally settled down. But then after my Canada stint, I did a master's in advertising and marketing. So again, parents were proud that, okay, she's got a degree, now she's getting a master's, because education was very important. So my corporate career started quite early, and because it was expected of you, because Woolbert, I would have told my parents I wanted to be a henna artist or a makeup artist, but my soul was creative. And whilst on the corporate journey, I've been so fortunate that I've had a creative career parallel to my corporate life. But I think, we're all scared of doing what we really want to do because of expectations and paradigms that we've been told when we were younger. And I didn't want to disappoint my parents, so I wanted to have a corporate career, and I did. I had an amazing 25 years in the corporate world. But parallel to that, that's when I was 20, that's where my creative journey started. And it began with henna artistry. So we'll do some henna on you afterwards, so you get a feel for it. But I went to India when I was 16 and saw a henna artist drawing the most beautiful, elaborate designs on my aunt's hands, and I was mesmerised because I couldn't believe how articulately the artist was placing the henna on the hands with such control and finesse that the henna actually looked like it was dancing. And appearing, just, unfolding. So it's very hypnotizing. And something just really sat in me that I would love to do that. But it wasn't until I was 20, about 4 years later, that I got a pen whilst I was in my final year at uni and started drawing all over my hand. And my friends grabbed my hand saying, "Is that henna?" And I was like, "No, but it's about something that I'd remembered from when I had my visit to India." And from there, I basically self-taught and became a henna artist, and then started to do, so whilst I was working my corporate job, started to do bridal henna. So henna is a big integral part of Eastern weddings, and I started to do bridal henna in the evenings after my corporate job. And then the brides asked me, "Well, if you do henna, can you not do hair and makeup?" And I knew I could, but I needed qualifications. So then I went to London and qualified to do hair and makeup. Again, these were very concentrated courses. I didn't have to spend a year or two doing it. So I could really concentrate the learning, but the actual doing and the practice is where your art comes from. It's one thing learning the theory, but then putting it into practice. So over the years, I built a really successful and just very creative had a creative outlet through my henna and hair and makeup artistry, focusing on the Asian bridal scene in Bradford, because obviously it was very multicultural and there was a big market there. After I graduated, in terms of my corporate job, whilst I was running my parallel creativity, I worked in recruitment. And it was IT recruitment in the year 2000. So when the big boom hit, and I didn't like it. It was amazing sales training, but I felt that the industry was a bit unethical for my liking. So after a year of working as a graduate in IT recruitment, I pivoted my career and started working for a company that designed, developed and distributed garments for high street retailers. So that was all about creativity, about fabrics, about thread colours, about appliques, about, the lace trimmings. And I worked in children's wear. So whilst it was maybe a step back in terms of responsibility and salary, I am a true believer that in life sometimes you have to take a step back in order to catapult forward, like a bow and arrow. So this was maybe a step back for me, but wow, it was amazing in the sense that after a year of working in that company, what was happening is that there was a big shift in manufacturing. So the companies like Asda, Primark, they were going direct to source out in the Far East rather than coming through the buying agents, which is what I was working for in England. So they didn't filter the orders through the buying agent and then we placed the orders. They were going direct to source. So they were cutting the agents out, which meant that we had to make our bases in India and Sri Lanka stronger. And it was an English company I worked for. And at the time I was about 24, 25. And the company said, "Would you like to go out to Sri Lanka to work for a year?" Well, I was like, yeah, because it gave me a chance to travel. And what an experience that was. I was working out in buying offices in Sri Lanka for a year. and all expenses paid, and lived at the Taj Hotel, 5-star hotel, for a whole year.
Wow.
So I saw lots of celebrities coming in and out of the hotel, cricketers, Bollywood actors and actresses. So it was an amazing experience. I got a chance to see what work was like out there. I had my first introduction to Buddhism, which is like hugely spiritual religion, and really just experienced life on a different level. Obviously, my parents were like, "You're going traveling again. Are you not going to get married?" Because now by this time, I'm 25, and in the Indian culture, it was about time that I was
That's old, isn't it?
Like my parents. I think even in my thinking, I thought I would have been married by 23 and had kids by 24, 25. But it didn't happen for me. So after I came back from Sri Lanka, I said, right, Mom, bring them on if you've got someone that you want to introduce me to. So did I have an arranged marriage? That's when I met my husband, because I was at an Indian wedding and he was there as well. So his cousin was marrying my cousin, and we met at the wedding. And at that wedding, we exchanged numbers. He was obviously in Belfast and I was in England, Bradford. And after about 5 weeks of speaking to each other, he flew over. We spent a day in London together at this Asian lifestyle exhibition, which was a great way to get to know somebody. Because at the exhibition, there was everything from food to music to fashion to makeup artistry to henna to music, popular culture, all of that. So he was attracted to the areas that he was attracted to, and I was. So I really got a chance to kind of get to know him a little bit in one day. But at the end of that day, Lisa, he said, "I want to marry you." And I said, "Oh, okay."
Wow, that fast?
It was that fast. And then I remember coming back I told my mom that I was going to meet somebody. And whilst I was growing up, obviously arranged marriage was a prominent concept. My cousins had arranged marriages, and by arranged I mean like an assisted meetup. It's not like this is who you're marrying, but it's like see how you introduced, almost like a blind date. So I always had an argument with my mum saying that if don't expect me to have an arranged wedding and a marriage, and I can't make a decision meeting someone for a couple of times. And again, I had my Western thinking on. And then my mum was like, "Well, don't think that you can see each other for 3 or 4 months because that's disrespectful. And what are people going to say that, you've been around?" And it's so backward thinking. And then it was funny because when I came back after meeting Vivek and I said, "Mom, I really like him. So yeah, I would like to marry him. So you go do the formalities, meet the parents." My mum freaked out. She's like, "Oh my God, no." She goes, "You have to meet him a few times before." So it was actually quite the opposite.
It was the other way around.
It was quite the opposite. But again, at the time, I think, it was the best decision for me. And he was wonderful. And that was my journey set. So I got married in 2005, left my corporate job there and moved over to Northern Ireland. And it took 6 months to acclimatized to Northern Irish ways, people, language, accent, weather. Well, weather's not so different in Yorkshire, but it was just really getting used to my surroundings. And even I remember Vivek, my husband, he would watch Give My Headpiece and laugh so loudly, and I had no idea what he was laughing about because I didn't understand the comedy at the time. I do now, but it was very funny. And at that time, when I applied for jobs, I was very fortunate to get a job at Castlecourt Shopping Centre, and that's where I did commercialisation, sales and marketing. I was the commercialisation manager there for the best part of 14 years.
Wow.
So since I moved to Northern Ireland in 2005, started the job in 2006. And I remember, because I left all my bridal work back there. So it's like I came here thinking, I can just pick up, but I looked around, I'd go in the shopping centre, couldn't see another brown face, because in 2006, there wasn't so many Asians here. So obviously there wasn't a market for Asian bridal makeup. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to maybe do Irish brides or, and that wasn't even on my radar as a market because I'd had so many clients in the Indian and Pakistani culture that I never had to look at the English and do makeup for English brides. But I remember after my first daughter in 2008, 2009, I started to get back into the makeup. So I had 2 or 3 year break because I was still figuring out my way around
Yeah.
here. And then started my creative journey again. And then people got to know that I do Asian bridal hair, makeup and henna. So I'd get maybe 2 or 3 bookings a year in the Indian bridal market, but then started to work on Irish girls as well, Irish girls. And it was so funny doing makeup on lighter skin. You know, the makeup and the colours show up so quickly compared to the darker skin. So it was a bit of a change, but you know what? It's transferable skills, and I absolutely loved it. So since then, I was doing the hair and makeup parallel to my corporate job.
Yeah, you're a very, very talented makeup artist.
Oh, thank you.
I was at a workshop recently of Bindar's, and it was lovely, and she used me as a model. She's very, very talented. And when I was getting ready earlier on this morning, I was thinking, were you at Happy Fest last year doing henna?
I was. Yes.
Because it just crossed my mind, because I remember seeing the henna thing near the Mystic tent, and I was like, I bet you that was Bindar.
That was me. There's not very many natural henna artists in Northern Ireland, and I'm all about the safety of henna and using natural, that brown henna. So do you know much about henna?
I don't really know.
No. Okay, I'm just going to say a little bit about the actual plant.
Yeah.
I'm so passionate about it, and I am an educator and facilitator in henna artistry as well. So henna is actually a plant. It grows in hot countries, and the leaves from the henna plant, so the botanical name for henna is Lawsonia inermis, and the leaves are taken off and crushed into a very fine powder and dehydrated. So once it's into a fine powder, it's airtight packed, sealed, and sent to its source. So I receive the henna. And I do believe henna is very sacred. It's Mother Earth's way of, giving us beautiful natural colour. I find the practice of henna very sacred. We'll go on to talk about a little bit about that. But the actual plant itself, I receive it in a powder form, and then I mix the henna powder with lemon juice, sugar, lavender oil, and water. So it's 100% natural. So what the terps within the oils does is releases the natural dye within the henna plant. So when it's in a paste, so it's almost a bit thicker than ketchup. So I leave it, and whilst you leave it overnight, it releases the colour. And then I cone that henna into small cones, a bit like icing cones, and then pipe the henna out into a design on your body, hand. Obviously for brides it would be the hands and feet. I do henna for one-to-ones, for corporate events, for music festivals, and you saw me at the Happy Fest festival.
Yes, because I seen Steph, actually, she had some done. Yeah.
At Happy Fest last year. So yeah, wherever I get an opportunity to do henna, my friends will come round, and if I've got fresh henna mixed, henna is perishable. So any henna that I mix, the colour within that paste lasts for about 5 days. And then if I use that henna in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I might be able to do the design on the hand, but the colour won't transfer onto the skin because the colour's diminished. Yeah. Which then brings me on to when you go on holiday and so henna, natural henna will only be brown in colour. It will never be black. Yeah. When you go on holiday, you might have heard that people get black henna done. Yes. And that black henna has got toxins in it, something called PPD, which is a hair chemical. Right. That hair chemical. So irresponsible artists mix hair dye into natural henna powder and then apply it on the skin for an instant design tattoo, which can leave your skin irritated with blisters, and that's why henna has had a bad reputation in the past, because people come back. Now you do, so there's 2 key things that I would recommend anyone to ask. Is the henna black or brown? If they say black, stay away from it, and ask if the henna takes time to develop into the natural colour on your skin or whether it's immediate. Natural henna will always take 12 to 24 hours for the design to develop on your hand. It's not instant. There's a process and a patience that it takes to actually develop, because it oxidizes on the skin. So if the artist says it's brown but it's instant, it's chemicals. Because natural henna will not give an instant design. It starts off a pale orange, and then over the next 12 to 24 hours, you'll see it developing into a richer colour. You might be able to see a little bit just on there. That's about 3 weeks old now, so it's kind of fading. But yeah, it's natural. It lasts 1 to 2 weeks. And as you exfoliate, the henna design just gets lighter and lighter and lighter.
Yeah.
But in terms of a practice, I do find that henna is a really happy place for me. It's a mindful practice, it's sacred, and I just think it's almost like a therapy because you're exchanging energies.
Yeah.
You're in the moment. When I'm sat with my clients, even if it's at a festival and it's really loud, I'm sitting with that person for like 5 minutes and doing something to make them feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a really amazing, sacred gift from God that I've been able to do so many people and make them smile and walk. And they've got like, I think henna is very empowering because people say, can you do, like, for example, I had a bride and she wanted a giraffe in her bridal henna. So amongst the intricate designs, she wanted a giraffe because that meant something to her. So any artwork that we have either on our wall or on our bodies, we want to evoke positive emotions from. So she wanted a giraffe because it symbolized a cousin that had passed away and their favourite animal was a giraffe. Oh. So I did the cutest giraffe, and obviously it means, I think symbolism and ways to remember people is special. And I think that's really special if I can, incorporate something that's very personal to the bride, or personal even even like a festival, I'll have people come say, can you do my children's names, or can you do initials in a different language? So it allows me to use my creativity whilst honouring their request. So it's really lovely.
It's so lovely, but to hear like that behind it, it is really, really lovely. And you're so good at it. You're so, as I say, you're multi-talented.
Thank you.
So tell us, this is what really struck me when I met you, because you're so bright, you're so beautiful, you just want to help people, and then you told me your story at my event, at the event I was speaking at, about what happened during COVID. So I know that's painful, and the last time I heard it at your event, then it really, no. You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I will speak about it, of course, because I think it's an important part of my journey, and it's what's shaping me into the person that I'm being now. So my husband, Bindar Tohani, was born in Northern Ireland in Warren Point. So he was born and brought up here, but very Indian. He was a dentist by trade, and but his passion was food. So he was a food blogger. So that was his passion, and I supported his journey with his food blogging, and he was my biggest cheerleader and supporter with all my henna makeup. In the sense that whenever I used to go to festivals, he was my backbone of setting the marquee up and just having all the chairs in line. So I never had to do any of the men's work, setting everything up. I just rock up and do the henna. But I really do appreciate the support that he gave me in my artistic journey, because I don't think everyone gets that. So I am hugely grateful. So he was a dentist, and during COVID, obviously the world just fell apart, everything stopped. I'd just been made redundant from my corporate job in December 19, and it was a decision and I guess an opportunity for me to now explore how I could use my creativity for the next chapter of my life. But then, of course, COVID hit. Vivek had taken a few years out of his career, and I said, right, I want to stay home now and work on my artistry, and you go back to work. So he started work like 3 weeks before lockdown, and he was in employment, which was so lucky. And again, when I look back at the divine timing of things, it was very, I was very grateful. So whilst, he only had 3 weeks of working and then everything shut down, we had the most incredible year together as a family. And, we just made the most amazing memories, the walks, the games, the board games, the films. I think everybody, whilst it was a really dark and sad time for a lot of families that were going through pain and obviously the illness, we just embraced the pause in life. And that's what it was. It was a sacred pause. And so that, and then during the year, I did start to work for the NHS Test and Trace because it was home based and it was easy. Vivek was in and out of work trying to fathom how to deal with the COVID crisis in terms of working on people in the dentistry field. And one day at the end of November, when he was probably at his happiest and healthiest it's ever been, in a few hours, he had a massive heart attack and he passed away. And life flipped. It changed. I think part of me died as well that day. Oh. Because you can't be the person that you were at that time. And we're always evolving, like every few years. We're always evolving, physically as well as mentally and energetically. But yeah, that was a big, these earthquakes in life, that was a life quake. There's nothing that can shake up somebody's life. And he wasn't ill. There was no reason to doubt that he had any health issues, but he did have a massive coronary heart attack, called the Widowmaker heart attack, which is really sad. It was actually called the Widowmaker heart attack because it makes widows, because there's no warning, and his left arterial route was blocked, but there was no sign. There's no previous sign, otherwise we would have got it checked out. Maybe this was a ripple effect of COVID because no routine bloods were done, and he would have had regular blood checks, or even just health tests, or everything's kind of passively put to the side if it's not critical or urgent, because there were so many more urgent. But that day, when he wasn't feeling well, everyone's scared to send their loved ones to hospital because people were dying in hospital, contracting COVID in hospital. So that quick decision to, but it happened so suddenly. So it felt like a freak evening, and it almost felt like a movie. It was like God's catapulted me into a different matrix in my life. Yeah. Because I just couldn't believe what had happened, that the disbelief in my life. And it was during COVID, where people couldn't come round and see you and be with you, although my aunt and my mum and, the family here hugely supported. I couldn't have done anything without them. So I'm very grateful for the support I did get. But I remember even like Vivek passed away on the 30th of November, and it was crazy because Vivek had all the Christmas decorations up. He'd bought all our Christmas presents and had them put underneath the Christmas tree for us. So imagine, on Christmas Day, we're opening presents that he'd left. I mean, the night that he passed away, we had dinner. He'd made the lunches for the girls the next day. Wow. So in the morning, both of my girls had 3 exams on the 1st of December. It was their end of term exams. And Vivek he was hugely academic and really instilled studying into them and helped them with their revision. So they both got up and, it was a really tragic night for them and very traumatic. But they both got up with that immense resilience, saying, we're going to go take our exams for Papa. Wow. So I just, in zombie mode, took them to school, and they both went and did their exams. They had 12 exams between their dad's death and the funeral, and they aced every single one of them. Oh, wow. So I don't know, the power of, resilience in children is incredible. But, we have had and are having a real journey of dealing with the loss of somebody that's been, a really big part of our lives. Yeah. So just grief. I'd never really hadn't lost anybody in my life. So the first person that I had lost in my life was my husband. That was so instrumental in every part of my life, from physical well-being to financial to parenting. He's the person that's the most closest to me, and it's a huge void, and it's a slow process of coming to terms with the reality and that internal struggle of what you wished your life was. So in Buddhism, the definition of suffering is the difference between your expectation and your reality.
Yeah.
And the way to reduce that suffering is to change your expectations to meet your reality. Now, that's easier said than done, and that's a process. And that's the process that I've been going through over the past 4.5 years. I mean, I remember I hadn't got out of my PJs in 3 weeks, and I looked at my phone, and on the Friday night, I think it was the 20th of December, I looked and I had a bride booked the following day. So this is 3 weeks after I've lost Vivek. I had no time to arrange a backup for this girl. This girl had postponed her wedding because of COVID 3 times that year. So I cried. I did not know what to do. And I remember calling my mother-in-law, just crying, saying, I don't know what to do. How am I going to show up? What are people going to say that her husband's just passed away and she's out going to do a bride? Like, it just doesn't coincide, I think. And my mother-in-law very graciously and lovingly said, do what you feel is right. What do you feel? What do you want to do? No one's going to say anything to you. What do you want to do? And I just sat with it, and I remember just thinking, I need to show up for somebody else right now. I need to just put my life on pause because it's not fair on her.
Yeah.
It's not fair. And I really didn't want, and I take my bridal work really seriously. I think it's really important as a bridal artist that you set the tone for that bride for the rest of the day. So in the morning, I remember having a shower, doing my hair, putting on some makeup. And I remember seeing my girls at the bottom of the stairs just light up with just seeing their mum normal.
Oh.
And it was a huge realization very early on that if I'm okay, the girls will be okay. And if they're okay, I'll be okay, because I was hugely scared. I did not know how I was going to, raise the girls by myself. And how am I going to deal with their loss? Because it's one thing me grieving a husband. I need to manage their loss as a father, and I'll never replace, but I need to somehow compensate doing 2 roles.
2 roles, yeah.
And, there's only so much bandwidth for everything in life. So that realization, my granddad used to say something to me which really resonated at that moment when my girls saw me. So in Punjabi, he used to say to me, "Kuriye tenu dekh ke mera khoon dugna ho janda," which basically means that when I see you, girl, my blood doubles, as in the life force in me doubles.
Aww.
And that's so true. When we see somebody that we're really happy to see, that lights us up, that energizes our life force batteries, whether it's a friend or a grandchild or, a neighbor that we have a giggle with, and our life force increases. I saw that in my girls that day. I just saw them from this being to suddenly seeing their mom. And that lesson for me was I need to show up. Even if it's faking, I need to get up and show up for the girls. And that's where my journey started, because I needed to be the mummy that they've always known, because they've already lost the dad that they knew.
Yeah.
So that was hard, because all I wanted to do was curl up and just cry and just hide and hibernate, which I did do. But over the 4 years, I've been working on the grief journey.
Yeah.
And, we did get counselling, and grief's a very heavy subject. And until anyone goes through it, nobody quite fully understands. And until you're walking in somebody's shoes in any capacity, I don't think anyone has a right to judge you on your decisions in life. But, that counselling journey taught me at the beginning, and I didn't know it because only time heals, that grief in itself doesn't reduce in size in your life. What happens is the grief stays the same, but your life expands.
Yeah.
So if you've got a jar, that grief takes up a lot of space in your life's jar at the beginning. That jar gets bigger, but the size of the grief stays the same.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been focusing on. And that's where all the personal development that I've done over the years, and that spirituality and the mindfulness and the meditation, and, people say how strong I am and how well I'm doing. But it's a muscle, and it's a resilience that you have to build over time.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, the realization of the power of the art that I've had in my life, whether it's through makeup, whether it's through henna, whether it's through dance, because I've always been a dancer, but I've shied away from calling myself a dancer. Now I say it openly and I'm so proud. I love dancing. And last year, as part of my healing journey, friends introduced me back to dancing salsa and bachata, Latin dancing.
Oh.
And it was incredible. I just felt a real sense of joy in my life from dancing. And I think that's where just in January, when I was really trying to calibrate what is it that I want to do in my life, and you look at the Japanese concept of ikigai, you know, your purpose in life. So, you know, for me, I analysed, what is it that I'm good at? How is it that I can pay my bills with it? Because we've all got bills to pay. And most importantly, how am I going to show up for others and serve others and add value?
Yeah.
And it was like almost like a pin drop. It was not pin drop, it was like a sudden moment.
Yeah.
In a brainstorming activity, actually, with my friend Babita, where I just thought all this artistic passions and skills and talents that I've got, I am really going to channel that into creating workshops for well-being. And that's where my real journey started, is trying to now step into the person that I want to be as someone who can make a difference through my art. So I'm doing an art therapy diploma, I've done a mindfulness diploma. I'm all about being present in energy. I've just done my Reiki level 2 qualification.
I do Reiki as well.
I saw you had the Reiki.
I'm about to become a master.
Oh, amazing. So that's the plan by the end of the year. But it's really amazing, Lisa, because once you decide what you want, the universe is conspiring to make it happen for me in the most incredible way.
Yeah.
So even my friends have noticed I've got all these amazing stories of like just funny synchronicities that have helped, coincidences, people that I've shown up in my life to help me to the next step. I mean, one such example, I remember on my vision board last year, I put on my vision board, I want to travel. I love traveling. But I want to travel with purpose. So that I don't just want to go and sit on a beach. I need to do something that's with a purpose. Now, in my head, I didn't define exactly, but I thought maybe it's doing destination weddings. So doing the hair and makeup at destination weddings, because I'm there for a purpose. Well, I think God has a different plan. And I left it to him. So in February, I met a wonderful lady in London. I went to this personal development day in London and met a meditation and breathwork specialist, Bhavisha, she's called. Hi, Bhavisha. And we connected, and she saw something in me that I hadn't even defined yet. But she says, I want to know more about you and the workshops that you deliver. And she says, I do yoga retreats, and I would love for you to come and deliver your workshops on my retreats.
Wow.
So I was like, wow. And she believed in me and gave me the confidence that I can do this. So I am so fortunate that I am going to be delivering my workshops on the retreat in Turkey in September. So, you know, it's one thing God providing an opportunity for you. It's another taking action and being intentional and authentic about what it is that you want to do. So in the background, you know, whilst I want to be an art facilitator and educator, I need to set up my website. There's so many different things that I need to do, but we all have the imposter syndrome. And I think one of the things as an artist, we don't get started because we want everything to be perfect. Well, again, that lesson is just start imperfectly. You know, I think there's a lesson in the Bhagavad Gita is that, you know, it's better to live your own life imperfectly than to live somebody else's vision of you perfectly. And that really has resonated with me this year, that I'm not perfect, but I'm going to live in my own, on my own journey and create it whilst looking after my two beautiful girls. And they are incredible. So Ria's 16, Seisha's 13. Again, I'm very, very blessed and very grateful. And I guess, Lisa, you know, just having that spiritual awareness. I'm so fortunate to have been born and brought up in an Indian culture. A lot of the personal development concepts in the West have been taken from the East.
Yes.
You know, for example, the power of gratitude. You know, I grew up as a Sikh, and Sikhism is a relatively new faith based on main principles of jap, which is meditation, kirat karna, living an earnest and honest life, and vand ke shakna, meaning be generous and share what you have, whether it's money, whether it's energy, whether it's whatever.
Yeah.
So you try and embrace these philosophies that we've been growing up with. And also it's hugely based on equality of men, women, different castes, you know, because caste system was quite prevalent in India. So, and you know, the concept of shukrana is huge in the Sikh faith, in Eastern philosophies, not just Sikhism. So everything that I do with gratitude. You know, there's a concept of sabr. You know, everybody, when Vivek passed away, the blessing to me would be, may God give you sabr. Sabr is patience and resilience in the hardship that you're going through, because nobody can take your challenges away from you. Those challenges are going to shape who you're going to become later on. And it's that whole philosophy of how are you going to take the what you've been dealt in life and make it work for you rather than against you.
Yeah.
Because we can't change the reality, we can't change what's happened to us, but what we can do is pivot and change our perspective on things. So, you know, the power of gratitude, sabr, there's a concept called Jardi Kala, which means living in divine high spirits and building emotional resilience, especially through challenging times in your life, knowing that the divine has got you, knowing that you've got the grace of God behind you, and knowing that he's got you, he'll walk with you through life. But it's having that blind faith. And that blind faith is something that we have to practice that and breathe into. So, you know, it's philosophical. Like, my journey's been a lot of philosophy and looking into tools to help. My artistic expressions has been huge in my journey. Last September, very sadly, Lisa, I lost my dad as well.
Oh.
So it was a real double whammy, because that's like two very strong male figures in my life that have now gone. And when Vivek passed away, my dad was there to hold me and support me as that grounding figure. But when my dad passed away, Vivek wasn't there. So I really struggled in September and October. There was changes in my life, and I really had to stop dancing, because I felt it was disrespectful dancing, that my dad's just passed away and I'm out Latin dancing. So I stopped dancing for a while, but then I started doing yoga. So I've always done yoga intermittently, but then I do hot yoga, and I go to the boiler room in on Heron Road behind Belfast City Airport, and I started to basically really internally work on myself through meditation and yoga. I've always meditated, but then yoga became a big part of my journey, and it's been incredible, that whole journey of doing yoga, because it is that union between your mind, body and soul. You go there for 1 hour and you leave the whole world behind and you step up for yourself. And you know, it can, and I try to go every day, and it can be seen as obsessive, or are you going again? But it's, you know, nobody will tell you to do less if they'll only tell you to do less if they're doing less than you.
Exactly.
If they're doing more than you will get encouragement saying, well done, step up, keep it up. And I read an interesting article about, you know, you have to be balanced and you have to be focused. But in fact, you know, when you're passionate about something, or, you know, it can be seen as an obsession, you can either be balanced in that area or focused, because to be focused is homing in, and you won't be balanced because you're trying to achieve something. But when you're balanced, you're zooming out because everything's equilibrium, but then you're not focused on any one thing. So we have to prioritize, what is it that we have to focus on. For me, is making sure that I'm okay, my mind, body, soul is there optimally, so that I can be there for my kids, because I can't share and I can't do from an empty cup. So totally. It's, again, understanding the concept of self-love. You know, there's a huge area. And by self-love, I'm not saying that it's selfish of me to love myself, but we have to love ourselves and work on ourselves every day to be better than the person that we were yesterday. And working through a grief journey and working through just trauma and emotional pain, because we've all got stories to tell. We've all had something happen in our life which is going to shape who we become. And it's not fair for anyone else to judge our decisions because they haven't led the life and the experiences and the emotions that you've had to go through to get to that point. So we've all got an individual thumbprint on our life. It's like a digital footprint, but we've got a life footprint, and we are very unique souls on this journey. And one of the things that helps me to come to terms with the life, because I'm entering a different chapter. I'm totally in a different chapter. I remember on Vivek's funeral, traditionally, a widow would be dressed in all white. Like, she would not be wearing any colour. She wouldn't. She would be devoid of colour in her life, basically. Yeah. But I am hugely grateful to my mother-in-law, my mother, and my mother-in-law's mother, grandma. They all spoke, and after the funeral, they dressed me in this beautiful green tunic with the most colourful stole, a bit like this, but just gorgeous. And I'll never forget my mother-in-law's kindest expression on the day. She gave me, as a makeup artist, obviously makeup's very important to me, and I've always dressed the part and shown up in the way that I want. But then to show up with full makeup, and now my husband's gone, it was just a conflict in my brain.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law, on the day of his funeral, gave me a lipstick and a nail polish, which I think is just incredible, and I thank her so much. Just as a symbol to say, Bidde, I want you to stay. We want you to stay exactly as Vivek left you. No one will ever say anything to you. You just stay as you are. And it was almost a permission. It was maybe a blessing. Actually, I don't want to call it a permission. It's a blessing. And it's really incredible because, even to wear a bindi, which is the dot on the head, it's a symbol of your internal inner third eye.
Yeah.
But aesthetically, it's pretty and it's beautiful, and we can wear it. So it took me a long time to wear a bindi or wear lipstick, makeup, and show up for the person that I was without feeling that I'm going to be judged or people are going to say something or look at me differently, as in what's she got to be happy about. But that was a huge blessing for me, and I really do appreciate what my mother-in-law did. And my mum, said to me on the funeral, and she just held me because I was so confused, because I didn't want to get changed into this green tunic. I felt like I was being made a mockery. I was like, what are you doing? And they were like, no, we've discussed it. You're not going to be devoid of colours. You need to have colours in your life for you girls. You need to invite colours and blessings into your life. We can't change the will of God, but what we can do is write new chapters. And whilst this chapter, and it was so painful to hear, yes, that chapter had closed very unpredictably, very forcefully, and very suddenly.
Yeah.
And that shock in my system took a while because I didn't know how to be without Vivek. And how was I now going to show up? Am I still a wife? Am I still a daughter-in-law? Am I, who am I? And it's now designing and being the person. Who do I want to be? Which in a way is quite liberating because I can be whoever I want.
Yeah.
And it's changing that perspective, but only because you have to do the work. And, I can talk about it without crying now. But there are moments behind the scenes where I do break down. And I talk to Vivek and, I know he's looking down on us and looking after me and the girls every single day. And, that's just, it's a journey and a half, but
it really is. And that's that's what really struck me when I met you, was you were so full of light, so full of love, so full of giving. And then you just told me the short version of yours, and I was like, wow, someone so beautiful, so light, so giving. And then, it was just really...
Thank you. Well, you've come into my life where you didn't know me before, but I'm so honoured and so happy that we have become friends, and we're going to share each other's transformational journeys together and support each other. And I'm so happy that you came to my makeup workshop, and that makeup workshop was really inspired by people showing up for my life saying, what are you doing? You've got all this talent. Let's get you out there and sharing,
you do.
Sharing what you're good at. And what I'm good at is connecting with people. I love showing up for people in a capacity of helping them. So how can I use what I do to help? So there's been lots of friends and family in my life that have encouraged me. One of them being Kira Daly, who supports me and got me out back into doing makeup and doing workshops and educating for her. And I'd had done that before, but it was just allowing myself to do it after Vivek passed away. And healing, I can't remember the quote, but for me what healing has been is doing more of the things that bring you joy and not suppressing, but avoiding things that bring you down or dwelling on things that you can't change. So that's exactly what I've done. So what brings me joy is my girls, being at home, cooking, and then now doing my art and how I can step up and do, so the makeup workshops wasn't just about technical helpful skills of how to do your makeup, but it was about how we show up for ourselves in the world and in the mirror at the beginning of the day. What affirmations are we saying? It's about mindset, because everything starts with that thought.
It does.
I love listening to and studying Joe Dispenza's work. Yeah. And I think it's quite hand in hand with that power of the healing journey, is that we're actually quite amazing individuals, that we have the power to heal. We have it in us to heal. We do. Studying Reiki now, we know all about energy healing. And it's about changing the chemistry in our body. So we know how we feel when we do things that are going to bring us joy. We also now know how it feels if we don't feel in a safe space with somebody. Our body gives us clues before we can even understand what's happening. Whether it's our heartbeat or anxiety or anxiousness, something happens to our physiology, and it's being in tune with what's happening in our body. So if we can create stress and disease through our thoughts, through the negative of being stressed, Joe Dispenza says, if we can do it for that side, why can we not do it for the positive? So that means living in a space of how you want to be. Imagine whatever it is that's out there, that's out of your reach, that you've already got it now, because our minds don't know the difference between imagination and reality. So how are we going to use our power of visualization and the power of our thought to change our reality? Because that thought then will change into the feelings that we have. The feelings then will change into the habits that we create in our day. Those habits then eventually will turn into your personality. And that personality that you create will be your personal reality. So some people say, oh, you're really lucky, or no, you have to create it.
You do.
Luck is not by chance, it's by creating. And it's all the power of manifesting and that law of attraction. That could be a whole podcast in itself, as you know. So all these tools that we've got on hand, which is not conventional medicine, is what I choose to go down the route of. Because, we have the power to create the chemicals in our body to self-heal. And that's not taking away the medicines that we need in the medical profession. I think it should be in line with holistic approaches, like the therapies that, we all know about and sometimes don't know about, that I haven't experienced yet, but maybe I will. the alternative therapies. But, life's a journey, and I'm so... I choose to be excited about looking forward, because I can't change my past. And I choose to honour the past that I've had, through not being shy to talk about it. Because
Yeah.
there's a whole life that I wouldn't be here because if Vivek wasn't here. I wouldn't be here doing the things that I'm doing if it
'Cause he
wasn't for his
supported you.
blessings and his support and his the reinforcements that he's left for me and the girls so that we'd be okay.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing and having faith that it will be okay. But, again, that takes me on to doing my canvas art, which is another form of art that I do. So during COVID, whilst we didn't have any weddings or any festivals, but I really missed doing my art. So I transferred the skill of doing henna onto canvas. And, so instead of having henna in a cone, I put heavy-bodied acrylic paint in a cone. And that paint then was piped onto cardboard in the form of a mandala. So the mandalas are actually, it's a Sanskrit word for anything circular in motion. And we've got mandalas in nature through cobwebs, through flowers, through circular structures.
Yeah.
But the process of creating mandalas is spiritual. I mean, Buddhist monks in the Far East, they actually create these most elaborate designs with rice, and it's like rice designed mandalas, and they're huge, and they painstakingly perfect it over weeks, months, I think. But then once they've got the structure, within a day they sweep it all up. So it's like, oh my gosh, you've just totally taken away. But the whole learning is in the process of creating it, not the end result, which is a lesson from the Bhagavad Gita as well, which is, again, has been quite strong in my life of late, is just do things without expectation.
Yeah.
Don't do things expecting a result, because the law of the universe will give you the results according to the intention and the authenticity that you show up with. It's by law. You will get what's deserved. It will happen.
What is non-negotiable for you for every day? Mine's is meditation.
Okay.
I have to do meditation every day. It makes me more centered, helps me with visualizations, and it brings me to a more positive place.
Very good. That's a really interesting question. I would say some form of self-care. So whilst meditation is your channel, I would say that could be, I might not get to yoga, or I might not get to do any of my art, but what I will do is put music on in the kitchen and dance.
Oh, I love that.
See that dance. I mean, my girls think I'm absolutely nuts because I literally hold their hand and teach them bachata moves, and I can't wait to take them out dancing. But dancing, there's a whole science behind the neurochemistry of dance. How it's been, studies have shown that it's actually can be more effective, the medicine in helping improve anxiety and depression, all the rest of it. But I think rhythm and music has a frequency, unmatched frequency. So sometimes I might move to meditational music, and there's like trance music, and it's just being in a space of elevated spirits. Any of my friends, if you ask any of them, I will literally put the music on and I'll just spontaneously just crack out and dance. Which, so whilst at each phase of my life, at the beginning, it was more about henna and makeup artistry, and then, about the education of doing the workshops, and now it's about dance. So I'm really excited about a project that I'm working on in the field of dance. So Belfast City Council have got a project called the Bank of Ideas, and as part of that Bank of Ideas, you can apply for funding for a project, an artistic project, and that artistic project could be anything in a creative field: knitting, sewing, musical instrument, mine's dancing. So I've got a project called Dance the Rhythm of Life. And I've written a piece of poetry on that. If we've got time, I'll read it out to you. So the Dance the Rhythm of Life is a project that I'm working on. I want to run a series of dance workshops in the areas that I love dancing in, which is Bollywood dancing, Bhangra dancing, and Latin dancing. So it's a fusion.
Wow.
And because it's been so instrumental for me in my journey, that I want people to experience the power of movement and the joy of movement through dance. I think when we move, it releases trapped emotions. Reiki is one thing where you're static
Yeah.
and you're doing energy healing. Another way to help heal what's working through us is through changing the chemicals in our body. And dance is such a phenomenal way to do it. So it's doing these 10 dance workshops from September to November. But in order to do it, I've applied for funding. So last year, I think 100 applicants got through and 28 got funding. This year, only 80 applicants have got through, and I'm so happy to be part of the 80, and 25 of those will get funding for running these dance workshops in September. So I invite everyone that's listening that when I get the funding, I'm being very positive, that I welcome you to come and join and, follow me on Instagram.
I love that.
Bindar the artist, and find out when these workshops are going to be. So the whole point of this Bank of Ideas is on the 29th of June. I welcome everybody to come down to City Hall between the times of 2 and 5 p.m. because the funding is based on public votes. So I really urge everybody to come down and vote for my project, Dance, the Rhythm of Life, where I'll be doing these workshops in the area of dance. So.
Lovely. So lovely. And I couldn't attend the last one. So I'm really, really excited for this.
Oh, thank you.
Really, really excited for this. It'll be
I'm
amazing.
excited to see.
And you will get the funding.
I just, again, you have to. You can move forward with hope, or you can move forward with certainty.
Yeah.
For me, whether I get the funding or not, I'm doing these dance workshops.
I love that.
So it's not a matter of I'm only going to do it if I get the funding.
Yes.
It would really help me and be able to offer it free to the public if I get the funding. Otherwise, it'll be a very small cost anyway. It's like £5 a class or something. It's not going to be huge, but it's just to introduce movement to those that might not have experienced it. But I welcome everybody to come. But the beauty about this project is that or the Bank of Ideas, is that if you come and vote for mine, you can actually you must vote for multiple projects. So there's 80 projects that are showcasing their activities at the City Hall. So it's a great family day out. Bring the kids votes work as well. So if you can't get down to City Hall, there is an email address that you can write into to get a specific link for you to then go onto the voting site. I will be putting more information on my Instagram around that. So watch this space. But, I'm really excited about it. So again, life's unfolding in the most amazing, miraculous, magical way. In using my creativity for well-being in so many different avenues, and you
really are Bindar the artist.
I'm really grateful.
So expressional. I love it. I love it. It's so good. Before we finish up, let's tell us a little bit about these, because you were telling us about.
Thank you. Yes, I would love to. So I was saying during COVID, I transferred the.
You can let if you want to.
Shall I lift one of them?
Yeah.
I'll lift one of them. Actually, I'll lift the little one because it's the most. So this is a piece that I created. So it's part of my journey. I don't know whether it can be seen, but I've got two others, and it's one of 3 parts. So art is healing. The creative process of doing something like this is a mindful practice, and it takes patience and being in the present moment. So when I was creating this, the energy with which I was creating it is, what do I want to focus in on my life? What is it that this piece of art wants to say to me every time I see it? So any art that we have on our walls, it's to evoke a positive emotion.
Yeah.
So for me, this particular art piece and the two at the side of it, so we'll showcase it in a bit, but it's called The Hand That You Dealt. And it's basically about life, and in life, we have ups and downs, and God's going to, or the universal powers, or whoever you believe, or you might not believe anybody, but it's the truth of life that sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. So sometimes we'll get shitty cards and we don't know how to play with them. And other times when we get the job, when we pass our driving test, when we get the girl, get the guy, that's when we feel like we've got the aces.
Yeah.
And life's cyclical. We are always going to get some good cards and some bad cards. But for me, the reason why I've got the 4 aces in the middle is because it's a reminder to me that even in times when I feel like I've been dealt shitty cards, which I have, is to honour the cards that God's given with grace, and to know that it's working only in my favour. And how am I going to play with those cards with the knowledge, wisdom and resources that I have at that moment? And that's all we can do, is what we've got at that moment. But it's then understanding that you can only play with those cards. But it's almost like saying that, I know I've got shitty cards, but just play with them as if you've got the 4 aces. And that's what the 4 aces represents, is that just know that it's working for your highest good. And you don't know it at the time. And certainly at the time when you're going through it, it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 pieces on either side, which I'll pick up and show you as well. So you've got the 4 aces here. The other 2 pieces are also cards. So every mandala has got a focal point in the middle. So this one has got the king, and then the matching one is the queen. And it symbolises the yin and yang of life, and the polarities, and the feminine and the masculine energy that resides in all of us. So that yin and yang and that masculine and feminine is basically the king and the queen represents the protectors of the 4 aces. So again, it's like almost like brackets around the main concept that it's protected. Don't worry. You just walk in your grace, walk in your highest power that you have in Jardi Gala, that everything's going to work for you and not against you. Just have faith and keep moving forward gracefully.
Yeah.
So I just love it, and
they're lovely.
Thank you. And this is again an area that I want to develop. I've done many commissioned art pieces for family, for friends, for the Lord Mayor, and I'd like to do more of these pieces. So any bespoke designs that I would do for clients, I would ask them what do they want as a central piece. So some clients have put a family tree in the middle, others have put a love heart. What is it that you want to evoke? What you focus on expands in your life. What do you want expanding in your life? For me, at the time of creating this, it was just having faith that I know something really shit has happened, but it's okay, you can move forward.
Yeah.
So anything that's personal, and I think when you personalize a design, it just means so much more. And the energy of creating it, so if I know somebody wants love in their life, I'll put meditation music on and incense and just have the love energy of blessing them with love in their life.
Yeah.
But it's good for me because what art does, it relaxes your nervous system.
Yes. And brings you into the moment.
Reiki is all about relaxing your nervous system. It's about bringing you to a homeostasis. It's about equilibrium. It's about, you being out of your head and being in the moment to allow your body to heal. And that's what we all want, is to move forward with healing energies and feel that we're being our best self.
Yeah.
For ourselves and everybody else around us.
Yeah. Oh, wow, Bindar, you're so inspiring. I could listen to you all day. You really are. So plug your social media.
Okay. So I have got to work on my website. I'm working on my website at the moment. I am on Instagram as Bindar the Artist and on Facebook as Bindar Tohani. So you'll be able to see all my journey and what I've been doing and what I'm doing, all the networking events, showing up for yourself, other people, doing podcasts, doing my workshops.
We're hopefully going to do an event together as well.
Absolutely, I can't wait. There's a lot of exciting things in the pipeline, and I can't wait to share it with everybody and have everybody join in to have fun and learn and be inspired, and for me to be inspired, because it's a two-way process. But I think whilst everything's energy, there's a magic in synergy.
Yes.
You come together with somebody and it like magic happens.
Yeah.
And I've just met so many incredible people in the past 6 months, and I'm really grateful for them. So
and I'm the same. I've met so many incredible people in the last couple of years, especially to do with the podcast. And it's opened up doors, lovely doors, and just met lovely people.
Good.
And it's all a learning experience as well. And it's been so lovely having you on.
Thank you so much.
Such an inspiring woman.
Thank you.
And for somebody that was nervous,
I was a bit nervous.
You were brilliant.
Thank you.